we would say all of our shift members are aware, if not the majority of non-shift members are aware of adaptation issues. And then a good proportion, so I would say less than 30%, have carried out some sort of pilot, whether it's water efficiency or they've risk assessed their properties for flooding. But the real issue becomes we've got 25 million existing homes in the UK and we're not taking the next steps to actually adapt them. So I'd agree with that analysis, and I'll just, if you just give me a moment, I'll flick through and get you some of the actual findings from our survey. It's on a separate document in terms of adaptation to climate change with existing stock. We did find that members were engaging with residents a lot more on saving water in their homes, but not generally on flooding or overheating. So that was quite interesting, that engagement element. So I'll bring that up. Waste management. Okay, so here we go. So the questions we asked were what percentage of your total existing stock has undergone the following: flood risk adaptation, overheating risk adaptation, informing residents of how to cope with the effects of climate change. And for the first, flood risk adaptation, we had 10 had informed 90% of their residents about flood risk adaptation, so it's 10 out of 38. And we had 3 housing associations inform 100% of their residents about how to deal with overheating risk. So that's where it drops off starkly. So it's pretty small proportion looking at overheating, I think. And we've got evidence of residents being in real stress over the overheating of their homes, So
how do the other associations involved? You know what they say?
Yeah. So what they do generally is newsletters. What we've been trying to do is encourage more active engagement. And we have seen this, so we've seen some housing associations hold days where they engage with them on saving energy and saving water. So they actually go out with a bus. We've got one association who engages with local children and put on a play about saving energy, water, and so they are incentivized to do that through far more points under the
And for instance, on adaptation, what kind of strategies they apply to do that? Are they coming from the National Adaptation Program like shading, electric?
Yeah. So when we get recommendations on what to do, so we pass on the authority to police, such as the research interesting,
Questions about application of this overheating. At least historically, how long has this question been asked?
So about 4 years.
And the results, are they coming back from the properties that had some level of refurbishment into decent homes, for example? Or I know that was nothing to do with the levels of.
Yep. Levels of.
Well, window upgrades, stonewall upgrades, and stuff like that. I think that the decent homes, there might be double glazing.
No, that wasn't required. So I guess as part of what you're asking is, has there been improvement over time?
Or a degrading over time, actually,
Okay.
That's the precise question. And then the following question is overheating risks, if they're increasing, are they resulting in a new type of fuel quality?
Yeah.
The two precise questions I have.
Yeah, okay. So to the first one, I can't tell you from our stats, but I can say that I'd be extremely surprised if the tiny increase in energy efficiency following the Decent Homes program did have any impact on increasing overheating, because the improvement for energy efficiency is so minimal. So in general, if people did undertake insulation works through the Decent Homes program, it was the extent of it was an extra 100 mil in the loft, and that was it. So most of it was new kitchens and bathrooms.
Yeah, that's what the...
And it wasn't energy, the water efficient.
No.
So your second question, yeah.
That's another question, but be precise, so this overheating risk is increasing, we're assuming that it's increasing as a result of climate change rather than any other issue. You don't think that this is down to the level of refurbishment that's going on in these social housing projects? In general terms, our questions are, are you carrying out assessments of overheating in your stock? And I can actually say that there has been an increase between 2008 and 2010. There's been more than a doubling of organisations assessing their stock against risk factors generally, but I can't say, we can say generally that overheating issues are probably increasing due to climate change and increasing the heat environment. But I
So I think something we can return to again that question, because Ariane actually, as part of her research, is looking at some of the combinations of from the shift index data, it's more about capturing whether the landlords are actually actively looking and doing risk assessment and doing something. So we have to do that data capture.
I think this is probably the most useful. In 2008, 19% of our landlords had carried out, had assessed their stock against any of the adaptation risk factors, so overheating, flooding. But by 2010, it was 41%, and it's increased even further since then. But in 2010, despite 41% of organisations undertaking an assessment of their stock, only 7% of homes at risk of extreme weather had any adaptation measures undertaken to them. So that supports partly what Paul's been saying, is that we're seeing more assessment and awareness of the issues, but not action. Does that make sense?
And it's also worth saying, like the shift data, that actually some of the most proactive landlords often have quite high proportions of vulnerable people. So have a lot of elderly, physiologically vulnerable, I should say, rather than necessarily vulnerable health. And I think that's why they maybe, it's conjecture from having a look at the figures, but I don't think they've actually got that driver in terms of their aware of their actual population, how their ability